I'm going to go over D-loop installation here in just a minute, kind of show some of you guys how I do it, easy way to do it. The materials that I either use Gibbs Super Loop, it comes in at about a 85,000 thickness, or I use the Brownell material, which is about 80 to 83 thousandths. It's got 83 thousandths on here, but my mic just said 80 thousandths on it. Both of them are pretty stiff, as you can tell. The Gibbs, I haven't found anything that's any stiffer than Gibbs. Usually when I put the Gibbs on there, I get good use out of the Brownell, but the Gibbs generally gives me the whole life of the string. I never have to, I shoot a real polished hook release. I don't get any wear at all on that stuff. One thing about the Gibbs is you can get it in the green spec, black, or the black spec with red. And a lot of guys like that to go on their rigs. I generally just like the black because it just goes with my serving, matches what I like to do more than anything else. So the way I'm going to start is I always tie the first loop on the rest side, on the inside shelf side of the string, as opposed to where the quiver mounts on the, generally if you're talking about a right-handed shooter, the left side of the string as you're holding the bow versus the right side of the string. That has the tendency to, as your loops are on that left side, cross over the string and tie down on the right-hand side of the string on the bottom, and that usually fits where people can hook the release in. It usually fits people's hand position a little bit better without, torquing that string over a little bit. I'll show you what that means, but you just have to tie these things. Just buy you a spool of it and tie a bunch of them until you get it right. There's just one way to thread it on there, and I'll show you the simplest way to get the top knot done. And once you get the top knot, you just have to mirror on the bottom side. It's not hard. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing. And while I'm here, I'll tell you about tying in knock sets. I tie in knock sets for a lot of people. I use like a 14 thousandths halo or something like that, bullwhip, just something small to tie in a few wraps if people want it. I don't do that on my hunting rig simply because the pliers that I use, and you're going to need two sets of pliers really to do a good and proper job of it. One's just a standard set of needle nose. Okay, you can get those anywhere that anywhere hand tools you can buy. And then you're probably going to have to go to Lancaster or Apple, somewhere like that, and get you a set of D-loop pliers. These, once you learn how to use these things, it cinches that D-loop down so tight on that string, it just won't move. It won't move. When you make the little balls on the end of it and flatten those out, those things will pull down nice and tight, and you can see if they start to bend in or if you have any stress problems with these before you ever start shooting your bow. And with these D-loop pliers, they're wide enough in the middle. When you put this on the string, it's wide enough there that it gives a little bit of a gap. It doesn't tie it so tight that you're having to actually pinch the loops apart to clip the knock on the string. So with a little bit of gap in there, people are like, oh, well, my arrow's sloppy in there. Yeah, it's sloppy in there, but I guarantee you when you draw back the pinch of the string on there, it's going to center those knocks up inside that loop gap, and it's going to be perfect. As far as hunting situations go, been doing this for a very, very long time. Never have any trouble, never have any accuracy troubles with having a little bit of a gap. Now it's not sloppy gap like a quarter of an inch. It's maybe a 32nd top and bottom to maybe just a shade more, but usually just about a 32nd of an inch top and bottom. So that keeps you from having knock pinch, and it keeps from having to tie knock sets in there. Just the way I do it. But I'll show you how I melt the D-loop material here in just a minute, and how I tie the knocks on. Okay, let's start off with just the D-loop material and fuzz the end of it just a little bit. And I take my lighter and I just start melting it a little bit. I really don't like to catch it on fire, but I will like to just melt it a good bit. Just keep moving that flame on there, keep twisting that loop around a little bit. If it does catch on fire, it's no big deal. Then I take the metal part of the lighter and smush it flat, give it time to cool, and it just pops right off of there. And it's nice and flat. It generally will have kind of sharp edges around there, so I strike the lighter up again and just hit it just a little bit, and it curls those edges up around the back side of it, nice and neat, and it won't have any fraying. It's nice and smooth at this point. So that's just the way I do it. I do it for both ends like that. Now I generally cut the strings off, or cut the D-loops off at about 5 inches. So what I'll do here is I'll just measure off 5 inches and get my other pair of pliers here and clip that off right there. So that's the piece that I'll be working on, putting this on the string here in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to show you the best way that I've found to route these D-loops so that you know you're doing it the perfect way every single time. Alright, this is the top of the bow, this is the bottom of the bow. The front side to you is the arrow shelf, the back side of the string is where the quiver and sight would mount. Okay, just to give you the orientation. I've got the bow in my press here, so it's holding it just fine. I'm going to put the top melted post on the top of the bow string and the unburned end on the bottom. The double loop is going under the string, or the loop I made is going under the string and on the quiver side of the bow, and then you just push those two through that loop and just pull it down, and that will show you right there the orientation for having all of that run through the around the string the right way. All I do now is push the top melted post down and just pull the slack with the other end until I have it all compact and ready to be, the rest of it to be tied. And this is after you find your knock height, and you're going to have it either marked with a little Sharpie, or a lot of times I'll have an arrow once I found the center shot and the knock height that I like. I'll just have the arrow clipped on there, and I'll just snug that down to right where it needs to be. Now the rest of your D-loop material, you can just lay it on the string, and then you're going to come across to the back side of the string where your quiver mounts, and that's where you're going to start this next tie-in. You're going to go back through that hole. You're going to pull out everything kind of snug, and once you get that done, you can pretty much move those arrows out of the way and actually cheat and go back up just a little bit. It helps where you don't have such a big loop at the end. But I'm going to come back across towards you and then around the string one more time and back through there. So that gives you the same knot but completely backwards and on the other side of the string. So once you have that, then you can take your pliers and pull it a little tight, snug it up. Take my nippers, and I'm going to nip it down right there. I'm going to fuzz that end a little bit. And I want to burn. Now when I burn, I'm applying the heat from the top, and that way I'm not doing it from the side or from the bottom, and I don't want to incorporate and get any of this other D-loop material hot at all. So here comes the fire. Best to go as slow as you can so that you don't melt anything else. So once we get that melted, you're going to take that lighter and mash it down, and then apply just a little bit more heat to curl those edges just like I did before. So there you have it. Now once that is in place, you can take your needle nose again, and again I get the needle noses perfectly smooth so I'm not damaging anything. I'm going to open those up, and I'm just doing that to get enough room to get my D-loop pliers in So I get the D-loop pliers in, I hook that top one, and then I walk it on the string, and you can see that that's going to open up those loops a little bit, get all the way down on to the string, so that now on my knocks you got just a little bit of wiggle. They will self-center when you draw the bow. It'll self-center on there, do the same thing every single time. But your loops are tied on there exactly opposite, and they're tied on with a little bit of a clockwise twist to it, so that a right-handed shooter, you would tie it exactly opposite for a lefty, but a right-handed shooter that's going to be perfect for him right there. So hope you enjoyed that. Pretty simple way to tie a D-loop knot. Same every single time.